Hi and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got my pick for our Thursday local. So as I said before, I'm going to be playing 2 decks a week, one on a Sunday local, one on a Thursday, just to work my way through this meta, because I got stuck on a couple of decks last time and there was a load I didn't try. This time I'm getting over that by building absolutely everything. So we started it off with Bond of Bravery, so what better way to continue that with the twin deck to it, Bond of Friendship. So we'll get straight into the profile. I'll go over my matchups tonight, how they went, and if there's any changes I'd make, but we'll get straight into it. First of all, for the Digimon, so we play one Gabumon just for the sake of having a 5th egg. There are times you get to that, and you know, it's nice if you go underneath and they've got no Digivolution tools to draw one, but the main guy you want is your 4 Demi-Mirror. On restand, gain 1k DP. It makes your bonds 15k and it makes your ancients 14k. And then if you have the Gabu, where if you have 8 cards in hand, gain another k underneath either one of those, boost them up a bit more as well. But wouldn't change the eggs. They work perfectly well. I didn't really see Gabumon too much, which I was fine with because I really want to see these guys, and it did exactly what I needed to allow me to get that extra DP just to be able to be a little bit safer. So then we'll go with the rookies. Obviously with this kind of deck, it's unconventional, so the ratios are going to be weird. That's just the way the Bond decks are. So we run 4 of the BT1 Gabu on play, trigger, draw 1. It's just nice to get that extra draw, and it's also an option to go up on a bond. Realistically, you want to go after BT6 Gabu if you're going on to a bond, just to get that extra restand, but it's not too bad. You know, if you have to go up on this guy, you can, but on play, draw 1 is nice, just find those extra pieces. Then we've got, talking about him, the BT6 Gabu. So his effect is all turns, when you play a Tamer with Matashida in its name, gain 1 memory, which is nice. It came up a couple of times tonight. But the main reason you're playing him is once per turn, if this Digimon is Gabumon Bond of Friendship, you may unsuspend it, which is crazy. It gives you that 3rd attack, and each attack you're sending something back to the bottom of their deck that's level 5 or below. So it's crazy to give you that extra attack. Then we've got the Star Deck Gabu, just 3 of those. This is the one where when you have 8 or more cards in hand, Digimon gains 1k DP all turn. So any way you can give your Digimon an extra 1k DP, being able to potentially push an ancient to 15k is great. It means the only thing that's going to die against insecurity is like an Omni or a Zwart. Very rarely do they play any other 15k bodies, and it also swings over the bond if you're playing a mirror match. So it's nice that they're not going to die in that security, but the only thing is it's conditional. You have to have 8 cards in your hand, which, to be fair, the draw power of this deck you probably will do, but you've just always got to keep that into consideration. And then I couldn't decide how I wanted to run this, so I went straight down the middle. We've got 2 Gabumon on play, reveal top 3 and add 1 Tamer and 1 Digimon with hybrid in its name to your hand. It's just a way to search for Tamers if you need them, or if you need that Lobo. So it's very situational. If I'm in a position where I have everything I need, and apart from a Tamer, I'll play this guy instead. So he's the new promo Gabumon. Same as the BT1 Agumon. On play, real top 5 of your cards to your deck, add a Tamer. I'll only ever hard play this if I'm desperate for a Tamer and I need to dig deep. Because if I'm desperate for a Tamer and I play this, I may gain a Digimon off of it, but I'm not digging that deep. Where this, I'm like pulling through 5 cards, so hopefully I'm going to see that Tamer. But that is it for our level 3 lineup. I think it works well. I wouldn't change anything at the moment. Maybe with a little bit more testing I might see something else that worked, but all these guys do their job. I do like the 2-2 on this. Like I said, just I can dig deep if I need to. If I don't need to dig as deep, and I'm just, you know, need to play out a Digimon or play out a hybrid off of Ancient Artery Dies, I can always play this out. Then we go to level 4s. Unlike the Greymon decks, the Bond of Bravery deck that ran 12 level 4s. We only run 8 in this one. So we've got the best boy himself, undisputed god card of this deck. I've said it so many times tonight, Lobo for game. We've got the Lobo that allows you to digivolve 2 on top of a Tamer. You're playing Tamers constantly. And there was a game tonight where I took the game because I could have gone into Bond of Friendship, but it would have left me vulnerable if he died in security. It was very unlikely he would, but if he did, I wouldn't have taken game. Instead, I just swung with a Gabu, then double Loboed for game. And it's such a good card. I wouldn't play any less than the 4 I'm playing. If I could play 5, I would. I always want to see this card in my hand. And it is a target for you to play off of from your Ancient as well. And then talking about the Ancient, the other 4 we play are just the promo Lobo, which is while digivolving this Digimon into an Ancient from your hand. While digivolving, you may digivolve into an Ancient Guru from your hand for 1. So it allows you, when you're on 3 memory, to go from a rookie up to a level 6 that's going to get 2 attacks at least, which is really strong. It's a good rush mechanic. It's just a good way to put your opponent on the back foot as well. And if they've got blockers, if they're going to block once, you're still going to get a second attack in. And then you don't use it, but it's inheritable. Is when digivolving when digivolving this Digimon into Ancient Gururu, reduce cost by 2. But we don't run any level 5s in this, so we never get that. So it's just the main digivolving effect we use on him. That is it for our level 4s. And then we've got our 6s and 7s. So do the 6s first. It's a Gabumon deck, so you know what they're going to be. We run 4 Ancient Gururu, a nice 13k body. Like I said, he's commonly 14 and sometimes 15k. And when attacking once per turn, you may restand a Digimon with hybrid in its type or Gururu in its name, including himself, so you can restand him, so you get 2 swings out of him. If there's a situation where you have him out, you bring out a Lobo, swing with it doesn't die, you can swing with this and restand the Lobo. I didn't do it all today because I saved my Lobos for those last few hits that you need, but it is a play. But mostly you're going into this to either swing 2 checks just to cause a bit of pressure, or you're going into this to then go into the Bond of Bravery, Bond of Friendship on top of it, so that way you don't have to trash 2 securities, but you're still getting the restands, which is a cool little combo for this. And then you've got the 4 big boys himself, the 4 Bond of Friendships. So his effect is when attacking once per turn, if you have a Tamer in your hand, a Tamer on the field, you can restand. And his other effect is not once per turn, which is crazy. When attacking once per turn, return one of your opponent's when attacking not once per turn, return one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon to the bottom of their deck, which is crazy because it means you're not scared of blockers. If they've got level 5 sitting there ready to go up into level 6, you send it to the bottom of their deck. Blue was always notorious for sending things back to their opponent's hands, which isn't always that good, because even though you're removing a threat, they can go straight into it next turn. So being able to bottom deck things, and if you've got the Gabu underneath it 3 times, so you can just clear their board. Obviously it's level 6 or 7, you're not going to be able to do that, but it means you're clearing out blockers, which is insane. So going for game is a lot easier. And in some scenarios, if your opponent thinks you've got this, they won't leave a blocker on board because they're like, oh, it's just going to get removed, which allows you to go for different plays. So it's that kind of mind game aspect. It happened tonight where they had a blocker on board and I wouldn't have been able to go for game, but they were so scared of this and they were like, it's just going to die anyway. They wanted to digivolve up just to get that draw to see if they could find something else, and it opened them up for me swing with a Gabu and then double Loboing for game, which I wouldn't have been able to do. It's such a fun deck to play. I still don't know what deck I prefer out of this and Bond of Bravery. They both play pretty different. Bond of Bravery's more aggressive in the sense you're destroying your opponent's board. This, you can send things to the bottom, but it's more about just attacking multiple times. And then we've got the Tamers. So format Ashida, just a carbon copy of the tie. Your turn. When one of your Digimon with Gabu or Garuru move out from raising, gain 1 memory and draw 1. If you have multiple of these out, it's great because you're getting that multiple times. And the other thing is, and the other ability is it allows you to go into your bond of friendship. So you can't go into your bond without this guy. You do need him. It doesn't have to be a specific Gabu, just you need to have the mat out to rush into him. Jumping ahead already. And then we've got 3 Davis. Just on play, reels up 3, add 1 blue or green card to your blue or green Digimon to your hand. Obviously you don't run any green, so just being able to have 1 blue Digimon, it's a nice little search for your memory tamer. I was tempted to try Sora and Joe, but the issue is that's not guaranteed memory, and your opponent can play around it, where with this they can't play around giving you 3 memory. If you got this out and 2 of these, you're going to 5 if you're raising a Gabu, which is crazy. So I think this is perfect. I think it's the perfect ratio. It's the exact same ratio I used for my Bond of Bravery deck. Just 4 of your Bond Tamer and then 3 memory Tamers, and it works really well. And just gives you that extra search power and guarantees you that 3 memory, which is really important. And this is the area where I had the most playing around with. I couldn't decide how I wanted to use my options, and I think there's still room for changing this. I still may change things just because blue doesn't have great removal, or if any removal. We've got a few new cards that work well, and I wanted to monopolize on that. I wanted to run a lot of them, so there was a higher chance of being hitting security, if not just being able to play it to set back my opponent. So we run 4 Rattlestar. 4 seems a lot, but again, it's at 5 cost being able to send back a level 5, or if they've got 3 Digimon on board, instead of sending a level 5 back to the hand, you can send any Digimon to the bottom of the deck, which is crazy. And if say they swing with a Jessmon that hasn't got a delicate plan, hit this turn 1, you bottom deck that Jess if they've got 2 Systemon, which they normally would, and it just kind of stops them there because it didn't go back to their hand. They don't have that source back. It's gone to the bottom of their deck, and they're gonna have to dig through their whole deck to find it. So it works really well, and it's a good piece. I've even used it on level 4s just to get rid of blockers. If they've got 3 Digimon out, just bottom deck their blocker. They normally the only option would be to send it back to their hand, but now I've sent it to the bottom of the deck, they can't play it again next turn. So I think 4 seems a lot, but it worked really well for me tonight. And I think with decks that are aggressive like Jessmon and Bond of Bravery, you need to have those options to counter that. So running 4 of these guys I think does a really good job, and on top of running those, I run 2 Kakaya's Breath. This seems like a lot for blue, running 6 removal cards, but if you're in a situation where this just can't remove a level 6 because they don't have enough on board, this will do the job for you. Yes, it will go back to hand, but you can be on 5-6 memory in this deck quite easily, and then you just play this, put them to 1 or 2, they have to start building up again, but they don't have the memory to do it, and you don't mind stalling them out another turn because you're trashing all of those sources. They've then got to hope they've got everything else to build back up again, and it gives you an extra turn, which an extra turn means the world to this deck, because you could have played a Gabu and Raising, had all your Tamers out. All you need is to make it past that next turn. They could have something that's going to clear your board, or clear your security and go for game. You play a Kakaya's Breath, send it back. They've not got anything in Raising, they can't attack that turn. If they have something in Raising, usually you're not putting them on much memory, so they're going to have to try and build up again. So it works really well. I do want to try and squeeze in a 3rd, but I think at that point we're in territory where we're going to be bricking a lot and we're going to see it too often. Seeing multiple with this guy isn't that bad. It's only 5 to cast and it has a little bit of versatility. Seeing multiple with this is a bad time because it's 7 memory and you're just sending something back to their hand. So you only really want to see this once per game. I got lucky and saw it twice, so once in security and in hand, which worked really well. And then with the memory blockers, I didn't want to lean too heavy into memory memory options, but I felt like if I didn't, I'd be missing a trick. So we, believe it or not, this is a compromise. We run 3 Hammer Sparks. Everyone knows what Hammer Spark does. On play, gain more memory. Insecurity, gain 2 if it's hit. If they have something like a memory blocker, you can't use this. But if you go into your Bond of Friendship, bottom deck that, you can then play Hammer Sparks that you've been saving up, then go into a Lobo. So there's still spots for this. It feels bad when it's hitting security and they have a memory blocker down, but there's not much you can do about that. And then we run 3 memory boosts just for the search power, and obviously the delay effect of the 2 memory. Again, if they have a memory blocker down, you can't get that memory boost, but just having that extra search, you could be one piece you're missing. Play this down, get your Digimon. It does only search Digimon, not Tamers, so you just need to be careful if you're in a situation where you need a Tamer. You want to hold off of playing this, because you could bottom deck something, or if you're desperate for an option as well, you don't want to be playing these too frivolously, because you don't want to send important things to the bottom of the deck. And that's one of this deck's weaknesses, where you have quite a few searches. There's times where you bottom deck things you really need, and it doesn't feel good, especially when you can't grab option cards off of any of your searches, and you run 6, 7, it's 12 option cards, and none of these can be hit off your searches. So it feels really bad sending any of these to the bottom. So you need to make sure when you're using your searcher, you're doing it because you need that one piece. You don't want to be using searches for multiple pieces and sending options that you could have used. Sometimes you just have to play out a couple of turns and see how it goes before using those searches. But this is it for my Bond of Friendship deck. I had a ton of fun playing it. I didn't really get too much testing before going into tonight, so I'm glad I walked out with the win. I had some pretty fun matchups. Game 1 was a buy for me, which was nice. Got to sit around for an hour seeing some of the decks I played. Game 2 was Jesmon. Again, I played against Jesmon quite a bit with my Bond of Bravery, so I knew what I needed to do to get the upper hand with that, and just how aggressively quick this deck can be as well. Just set my opponent back, and whenever they did have anything big, I was either using option cards to get rid of it, or going into Bond and getting rid of it that way. And then my third match was against Lilliflute. That was the hardest one, but I think it wasn't, the matchup itself isn't too bad, but it's the pilot I was against. He's such an amazing player, and I knew how good he was, and so I had to take my time, because the last thing I wanted to do was get overconfident and then throw it away, especially when it was the last game and I wanted just to walk away with that win, that beautiful win, so I could have a nice undefeated deck for this profile. So we managed to achieve that. I got really lucky with the buy, and like I said, with those, my matchups weren't too bad. I didn't have to go up against any mirror matches, and luckily the Jesmon I went up against, he didn't see too many of his pieces. He was only seeing bits and pieces, so I was able to go through him quite easily. But yeah, as for would I change much? I went over what I'd change. I don't think there's anything else I'd need to add to that. But one of the big combos of this deck is hard to get because it needs a lot of memory. One of the big scary combos is you have your Demi V, you have your Gabumon, and you need at least 6 memory. So say you've got, I mean, there were times tonight where I had a Davis and 3 mats. So you bring you're on 3, you bring your Gabu out, you go to 6, you draw 3, which is crazy. You're able to search crazy deep for things. Then you go into your Lobo for 2, drawing something else, finding something else you need. Go into your Ancient for 1. You then swing, restand, cross your fingers and hope you don't hit anything that's going to kill you in security. if he survives, hopefully he will at 14k, you then go into your Bond of Friendship because you're going off of a level 6. Now you don't need to trash 2 security. And what's even scarier is you've already got 1 attack out. You now have 3 more attacks with this. And you're bottom decking something each time, but you've kept your security. It is a big thing to pull off. It's a lot of memory and it's a lot of risk because if it dies, you've invested a lot into this stack. But it's such a cool combo. I wasn't able to get off tonight. I have previously in one of the games I did testing, but that was like the only testing I had got for this. But just being able to swing 3 times, send 3 things back to the bottom deck. So you're clearing, for 6 memory, you're clearing 4 security. And then, you know, if you've got a memory boost down there, play your memory boost, go Lobo for game. If you didn't have game then, play some Hammer Sparks. It's such a scary deck because you can just come out of nowhere and just send things to the bottom of their deck. It's things that they desperately needed on board. So it makes them think twice about leaving things on board, which again slows down the game, which is great for you because it gives you time to find your pieces. But it's a super fun deck, and I think everyone should give it a go. It is a little bit more expensive. Obviously, last time we looked at Bond of Bravery, which is a very, I say budget. It's a pretty budget deck. It's not too expensive. A lot of the pieces you get from starter decks, and they're just older commons and uncommons. The only money cards which aren't too expensive still are the promo Greymons. But other than that, the deck is really cheap. The bonds are going for not much at the moment, so I wouldn't worry too much about picking those up. But yeah, that has been my deck profile for Bond of Friendship. A nice undefeated deck for this local. It did an amazing job, and just a massive shout out to my opponents. They're all such fun to play against, all great sports, and I'm looking forward to playing them next time. So just a little sneak peek, next time we're going to be playing Eosmon. So on Sunday, I'll be playing Eosmon. I don't know how it's going to go. It's not exactly the most meta defining deck, but you know, I've done 2 big meta decks. I now want to play something a little more fun to play. I was tempted to play my Masty Dynasmon deck, but it's still not finished. I don't think I'm there yet, and I don't want to do a deck profile on it until I feel like I've got exactly where I want it, because that's like a love project to me. As you know, Mastodon's my she's my mascot, and I want to make sure I build like the best version of that deck I can. So hopefully not too long we'll see that one as well. But definitely Sunday we're going to be playing Eosmon. I'm going to see how that goes, and we'll have some gameplay videos up in a deck profile up the following Monday. But as always, this has been Gruffy, and I hope you're getting good as well. Just thanks again to Ultimate TCG for being the channel's first sponsor. And remember, if you want a way to support us, all you need to do is go over to Ultimate TCG's website, and when you're checking out, enter the code GruffyGG1021, and they'll net you 3% off. So if you're looking to pre-order any of the new boxes, drops them to just over £70, or anything else TCG related. It is a minimum order of £20, and it's 1 use per customer. But it's just a way for you to support me by supporting them over at Ultimate TCG.